It was a hot summer day. The kind where you could feel the heat radiate off the pavement and see it shimmer over everything it covered. I was at the local pool with my friends. After playing some basketball for a while, I decided to take a break and lay out in one of those plastic lounge chairs. As I was laying there, trying to work up the motivation to go swim again, I noticed him. He had just walked in and was applying sunscreen on his friend's back. I watched as he rubbed the lotion over his friend's shoulders and down to his waistband, being sure to get every square inch of exposed skin. His hands were strong and confident as they moved slowly down his friend's body. His name was Max. I knew this because every lifeguard that passed by shouted out their hellos and made small talk with him or teased him about something or other. He had dark hair that looked like he just rolled out of bed, blue eyes that sparkled with mischief whenever he smiled, which was often, and a lightly tanned body that glistened with sweat under the hot sun. I couldn't help but stare as he finished applying sunscreen to his friend's back. They turned around and said something to each other, then Max reached into his bag and pulled out 2 cans of soda. He tossed one to his friend before cracking open his own and taking a long swig. I must have been staring too hard because Max suddenly looked up from his drink right at me. Our eyes met for what felt like an eternity before I quickly looked away, hoping that he hadn't noticed me staring. My heart was pounding in my chest as I tried to act casual, pretending like I hadn't just been caught ogling him. After a few minutes, I finally worked up the courage to look back in his direction. To my surprise, he was standing right next to my lounge chair, a big smile on his face. "Hey there," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Max." I took his hand and shook it, trying to hide my nervousness. "I'm Jake," I replied. He sat down in the lounge chair next to me and took another sip of his drink. "Mind if I join you? It's too hot to just stand around." "Yeah, sure," I mumbled, still not quite believing that this was actually happening. We sat in silence for a while, just enjoying the warm summer day and the sound of kids playing in the pool. I could feel Max's eyes on me, studying me as if trying to figure out what made me tick. It was both exhilarating and unnerving at the same time. Finally, he broke the silence. "So, what brings you to this fine establishment?" I laughed nervously. "Just hanging out with some friends." "What about you?" He shrugged. "Same as you, I guess. Just trying to beat the heat." Another awkward silence followed before Max spoke up again. "You know," he said, leaning closer to me so that only I could hear him, "I couldn't help but notice that you've been checking me out." My face turned bright red as I stammered for a response. "And no, I mean, well, maybe a little." Max chuckled and placed a hand on my knee, sending shivers up my spine. "Don't worry," he said softly. "I like being looked at." Before I had a chance to respond, Max leaned in and kissed me gently on the lips. My heart was racing as I closed my eyes and melted into his touch. His lips were soft and warm against mine as he deepened the kiss, his tongue exploring every inch of my mouth. I wrapped my arms around him and pulled him closer, never wanting this moment to end. Everything else faded away as we lost ourselves in each other, the heat of the sun and the sound of children's laughter all but forgotten. After what felt like an eternity, Max pulled away and looked into my eyes, a mischievous smile on his face. "Let's get out of here," he said, taking my hand in his. "I know a place where we can be alone." I nodded, unable to speak as he led me away from the pool and towards an old oak tree that provided shade in one corner of the park. We sat down on the grass underneath its branches, hidden from view by its thick canopy of leaves. Max leaned in and kissed me again, his lips hungry and demanding.